So, hi Chris, nice to meet you. Could you tell us a bit about the catalyst that you're participating in?
Yes, we are building a catalyst that's based on understanding the customer experience in the SMB market. So we're focused on how we're gathering interesting information about the customer, feedback about the customer, etc. As we go through a sales process and as we go through a typical service interaction with the customer. We are aggregating this into an entire profile of the customer, again trying to use those very more interesting metrics that maybe we don't typically capture in those interactions today. And then we're also looking to aggregate those measures for the overall market so that someone is managing the overall customer experience for the SMB market can get insight into what those customers are looking for to improve their experience.
Okay, and what do you think is different about customer experience for small businesses as opposed to?
Exactly. So I think SMB is a very interesting segment in that it really falls between the enterprise side of B2B and then on the lower end, the consumer side. And in the case of SMB customers, they often have needs and requirements that are similar to enterprise, but they often don't have the high-touch interactions. They don't have dedicated account teams and dedicated service teams that are very focused on them as a company or as an individual. And so I think as operators, they're looking at, well, how do we better service this segment? How do we get better insight into their particular needs and give them a higher level of customer service when, again, we don't necessarily have those dedicated processes and account teams that are focused on their particular account.
Okay, and you mentioned some interesting metrics for SMBs. What kind of, can you give any examples?
Exactly. So I think we're looking at a whole spectrum of different metrics that may come in for the SMB market. Often, I think it's very easy to get the billing information or the order information and the typical things that we see in communications operators. But I think what we're exploring with this catalyst is how to get for instance, the emotional metrics. So what is the sentiment of that customer? What is the feedback, kind of the frank feedback of that customer after they've gone through a sales experience or a service experience, and trying to capture that in such a way that then we can mine that and improve the overall customer experience going forward.
Okay, and you'll be demonstrating at TM Forum Live in Nice. What do you hope to achieve by that point?
So what we hope to do is have 3 distinct use cases that is focused on this SMB customer experience. We will demonstrate a sales process where a sales rep will have this interaction with an SMB customer and gather information through the sales process as well as feedback after the process that will allow us to get to more of those, again, kind of those more emotional and sentiment metrics that we're seeking from a customer experience standpoint. We are also planning to show a more comprehensive customer profile of a typical SMB customer, again, beyond the typical characteristics that we may get from our BSS OSS systems and into that more kind of emotional and kind of more interesting metrics as well. And then finally, we will show an aggregated view of the SMB market and showing the types of feedback that we're getting across the entire market and how we can use that to then improve the overall customer experience in that segment.
Okay, and who do you think would benefit from coming to see this demonstration? So what kind of attendees should come to this demo?
Absolutely. So I think anyone who's involved in that particular SMB market, first of all, who is looking at, well, how can we push the envelope in terms of both how we're defining the customer profile, how we're managing our sales and service processes around that SMB market, as well as how we can create these processes to improve the overall customer experience over time. And I would say, even though we're focused on the SMB market because it has these interesting characteristics that we want to explore, I think there's applicability really beyond the SMB market as well, into really any of those segments where we're trying to get better insight into how we can gather more metrics and have a more complete profile of our customers, as well as how we more systematically improve the customer experience in those segments.
Okay, thank you very much for your time.